Billions of dollars are vanishing from the US economy, not through fraud or financial crashes, but because tourists simply aren't showing up. Hey, this is Coinrad, and today we're diving into why the United States is facing a tourism crisis. Let's start with the bottom line. The US is set to lose between $12 and $29 billion in international tourist spending this year. That's money that normally pours into hotels, restaurants, attractions, and local businesses. Money that creates jobs, funds city services, and boosts tax revenue. To put it in perspective, even the lower figure, $12 billion, is more than half of what the state of Hawaii makes from tourism in a year. The higher end, $29 billion, is almost the size of Disney's entire annual revenue from its parks and resorts. Imagine wiping that out. Just gone. And this isn't just an accounting hiccup. International tourism is one of America's biggest exports. Every foreign visitor is basically a walking bundle of dollars that gets spent inside the US economy. When those visitors stop coming, it's like someone turning off the tap. So, what's scaring tourists away from the land of the free and home of the $9 coffee? There are 5 main reasons. Reason 1. Skyrocketing costs for visitors. Traveling to the US has never been cheap, but lately it's become painfully expensive. Airfares have stayed high, hotel prices have exploded, and those infamous resort fees keep creeping up. Take Las Vegas, once the ultimate affordable playground. Hotel occupancy in June was down around 15%. Visitors are reporting $9 cups of coffee, $210 for average hotel rooms, and endless add-on fees. People are starting to ask, why spend more to get less? For middle-class tourists, especially from Canada and Europe, the math doesn't add up. They can fly to Mexico, Portugal, or Thailand for half the cost and twice the hospitality. That's a hard deal to beat. Reason 2. Border hassles and visa barriers. If you can swallow the high prices of flights and hotels, there's still the small matter of actually getting into the United States. And right now, the welcome mat is looking a bit frayed. Earlier this year, the US rolled out a new $250 visa integrity fee. It doesn't hit everyone. Travelers from visa waiver program countries like most of Europe, Japan, and Australia skip it. But for millions from places like India, Brazil, or South Africa, it's an extra cost layered on top of already expensive paperwork. Then there are the headlines. Stories of tourists being detained for hours or even sent home despite valid documents have made international news. For many potential visitors, the message seems to be, you're paying more, and you might still have trouble at the door. Compare that with destinations like Japan or Canada, where visa processes are streamlined and border crossings feel smooth. The US, by contrast, is gaining a reputation as bureaucratic, stressful, and sometimes downright unwelcoming. Reason 3. Political backlash and boycotts. Here's where politics enters the chat. Recent trade disputes, tariffs, and diplomatic spats have sparked a wave of boycotts and advisories. The most dramatic? Canada. After new US policies targeted Canadian exports, many Canadians responded by canceling trips. Car crossings from Canada to the US are down by over 30%, and air bookings fell by more than 70% compared to last year. That's not just a few angry tweets, that's millions of dollars evaporating. European countries have also issued warnings about traveling to the US, citing both policy issues and safety concerns. The result? Germany, Spain, and the UK have all sent far fewer visitors this year, with some markets down as much as 25% to 28%. Political decisions have real-world costs, and those costs are showing up in empty hotel rooms. Reason 4. Safety perception and travel warnings. Even if someone can afford the trip and handle the visa process, there's one more big question. Do they feel safe? Unfortunately, headlines about mass shootings, civil unrest, and crime in certain cities have created a narrative overseas that the US is dangerous for tourists. Whether or not that perception matches reality, it shapes decisions. European governments have issued travel advisories warning citizens to exercise caution in the US. That's not great marketing. When tourists have plenty of other options where they don't have to worry as much, they'll pick the destination that feels safer. Reason 5. Bad value compared to other destinations. Finally, there's the simple question of value. Tourists weigh the cost versus the experience, and increasingly, they're concluding that the US just isn't worth it. You pay high prices, face long entry queues, and sometimes deal with unwelcoming treatment. For many travelers, that doesn't scream dream holiday. Meanwhile, other countries are upping their game, offering streamlined visas, cheaper packages, and more welcoming environments. Mexico is thriving. European hotspots like Spain and Italy are booming. Even Southeast Asian destinations are luring long-haul travelers who once might have headed to America. In short, the US is losing on the value for money scoreboard. So what happens when millions of tourists don't show up? The effects ripple across the economy. First, local businesses take the hit. Hotels, restaurants, souvenir shops, rideshare drivers, they all depend on tourist spending. Every international visitor spends an average of around $4,000 during their stay. When millions of those visitors vanish, small businesses feel it first. Second, jobs are on the line. The tourism industry supports nearly 10 million US jobs, and analysts warn that this downturn could put up to 230,000 of them at risk this year. That means fewer shifts, layoffs, and less income circulating in communities that rely on tourism. Third, city and state budgets suffer. Places like New York, Orlando, and Las Vegas count on tourism taxes to fund public services. When fewer visitors come, tax revenue dries up. For New York City alone, the expected 2 million fewer foreign visitors this year translates to a loss of around $4 billion in spending. International tourism isn't just fun for visitors, it's a serious economic engine. And right now, that engine is sputtering. Is there any fix? The good news? This isn't an unsolvable problem. Countries have rebounded from tourism slumps before, and the US still has some of the world's most iconic attractions. But here's the catch. Reputation takes time to rebuild. To turn things around, the US would need to ease border hassles, reduce visa fees and waiting times, improve visitor experience, focus on hospitality and transparency around fees, address safety concerns, both through policy and perception campaigns, rebuild relationships with countries currently issuing advisories or joining boycotts. Will any of this happen soon? That's the big question. Right now, the forecast isn't sunny. Industry experts say 2025 will likely end as the first year where the US actually loses ground in tourism while other countries grow. Even if policies improve, international tourists plan trips months or even years in advance. Damage done today can linger well into 2026 or beyond. And if current tensions with Canada and Europe persist, recovery will be slow. Some analysts believe the US could claw its way back by late 2027, but only with deliberate effort. Without change, the gap could widen, leaving the US trailing in the global tourism race. So, to wrap it up, the United States isn't losing tourists because it's boring. It's losing them because the costs are high, the welcome feels cold, and the competition is fierce. Add in politics and safety perceptions, and you have a recipe for a crisis. This year alone, the country is on track to lose between 12 and 29 billion in international tourist spending. That's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's missed opportunities, lost jobs, and a dent in America's image. The world still wants to see the US. The Grand Canyon isn't going anywhere, and New York still dazzles. But unless the US makes it easier, cheaper, and safer to visit, many travelers will keep saying, maybe next time. This is Coinrad, and if you liked this, hit that subscribe button. There's plenty more economic weirdness, history, and money madness where that came from.